Typing slowly is the number one reason that you will never stand out. Here are 4 simple tips to help you master touch typing. Okay, good morning. Today I'm going to show you how to improve your touch typing in 4 steps. So, touch typing is an essential fundamental skill. Not only if you're going to be in technology like a programmer, but whatever job you do, being able to touch type is a fundamental skill. And in this video, what I want to show you is how you can improve your touch typing in 4 simple steps so that you can then take off and just make a difference in your career. So, touch typing is an essential skill, and the first thing that is most important, the first thing I would strongly advise you to do is to get a keyboard. Now, not all keyboards are created equal. There are a lot of fancy keyboards, like the keyboards that you have on iPads or some of these tablets, or keyboards that are on touch screens. Those are rubbish. Get rid of those. Don't ever try and touch type with a keyboard that doesn't give you a tactile experience. You must have a tactile experience. So, at the bare minimum, you need to have real physical keys. However, you can do even better than that. So if you want to have a full tactile experience, actually the best thing to do is actually get a typewriter. But you'll have to buy paper and ribbons and all that, and that's going to be complicated. The reason why a keyboard is an actual typewriter, actual manual typewriter is great is because it forces you to develop that muscle memory, an awareness that when you press a key, that key has actually you've put in some effort to actually get that key to move. However, there is a middle ground between these fancy touchscreen keyboards and a mechanical typewriter, and that is a keyboard that has got quite prominent keys. I'm going to show you. I have an image of this on my screen. Let me just get that for you. So this is a Dell keyboard. It is the best keyboard, I would say. I even have my own here right next to me. I don't know if you can see that. These keyboards are great because they have big keys. You have to press the keys. They have a very clear distinction between keys, and they force you to learn some of the hard letters. So, for example, some of these letters right here at the bottom, like Z and X and C and V, these are really hard letters to learn. And for example, making the distinction between V and B, that can be quite hard. As well as keys like Q, because these are controlled with your little finger, your pinky, and then that experience of actually moving your finger in a physical direction, that is how you develop the muscle memory to learn touch typing. So if the first thing I would say, if you want to learn touch typing, is make sure you get yourself a, let's just go back here, you need a Dell keyboard. That's what we're looking for, a Dell keyboard. Let me come back to now. I'm typing with I'm writing the wrong key, but this is the kind of keyboard that you want. You want a Dell keyboard that has those big raised keys as you saw in that image. So that's step number one. Make sure you get yourself a Dell keyboard that you. Now the good thing is these things are very affordable. If you're buying them used, actually all of these keyboards come used. You can get them anywhere from 400 shillings to 700 shillings. I bought mine for 450 shillings. So you just have to learn to negotiate aggressively so that you can get a good keyboard. So that's step number one. You need to have a good keyboard. Get a keyboard that has raised keys where you can actually feel the difference. And these keyboards come with a USB port. So you plug it into your laptop. If you need to add a dongle for that, then that's going to help you get started. So that's step number one. Step number two is you need to have a learning material. So and the learning material is usually progressive. So you need to go step by step. Now, in the old days, like when I learned typing, I had an actual book because I started off with an actual mechanical keyboard, typewriter. Literally, I had a typewriter. But I had a book on typing, and this was a day and age when, well, this was just when computers were coming into the fore, and still used to be, secretarial colleges where people would learn how to type, and there were books that were available, and we happened to have a book on typing. And what I figured out from that book was that there is a progressive way to learn. So when you learn, you actually start off with certain keys. So you'll have, let me clear this here. You'll start with the home keys. Typically, you'll start with the keys that are on what's called the home row. So F, if you notice, F and J have got little bumps. And so you do exercises that go you step by step. And each day you add, or each lesson, you'll add another letter. And then you begin to mix between the letters and add more and more complexity. But that also reinforces the letters that you've started on before. So, what I would advise is to go for a tool, a website like Type Club. So, Typing Club is available online for free. You log in. So, the website is actually called Ed Club, and there are a number of tools under Ed Club. But the one I would recommend is called Typing Club. So, this Typing Club is really, really good because it takes you step by step through the different letters. You start off with a home row and you keep on progressing. Now, the right way to do this is you actually need to go step by step. Now, I think the mistake that a lot of people do is that when they start typing, they do one day for class one, then another day for class two, and another day for class three. And that makes sense if you have the time and you can, invest more than an hour into really trying to cement your learning for each of the letters, then that makes sense because you're going to take a lot of time on each of the letters. But, and here is a key, there is no rush in moving to the next letter. It's fine for you to say in one letter for 2 or 3 days to develop mastery of that particular letter. So let's actually look at what actually happens here. So I'm going to click on one of these. So they have a little video. So when you log in for the first time, they have a little video.
How do you want to type like a pro?
Can't hear that.
Start by setting up your
through that video.
positioning. Look at the
And they show you about
keys on the keyboard.
your
Do you see
positioning.
the bumps on each key? Close your eyes and feel for the bumps.
So we can actually go right to the end of this. And then it now takes you to the first letter. So it'll start off with just one key and you'll find the key on your keyboard. So here I found the letter F and I press the letter F. Let's just get that correct. I need to be in keyboard mode. Okay, then the letter F. Again, F, okay. And then you identify letter J. And then it gives you exercises, very simple exercises. So you press continue. And now you have very simple exercises. You start with F, 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 J, J, J. And it actually shows you. And then you now begin to mix and match. So J, F, 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 J, J. And it keeps now mixing them, okay? Until you master this and you keep doing this. Now, I would recommend do this over and over again. Don't just do it once. Don't just do it for a couple of minutes. Do this for several days until you can go through it perfectly from beginning till the end. So that's really what you're aiming for. You want perfection on the basics, so as you add more and more letters. So let's just go back and see the menu. So for example, I've just started on that one. It will show that I've started that, and you have all these lessons that you need to go through. And as you progress, you get more and more complicated exercises. Now, let's look at one which is slightly advanced. So here we are learning on lesson 74. They actually try and enforce you, say, don't jump ahead. It's not a good idea. And I would strongly recommend that, but I'm only doing this for so that you can actually see. So they treat them like games. Some of them are games, some of them are actual exercises. And then, so it asks you type any letter to begin. So then I'm going to press type. Oh, you have to type the right letter. So Z is the letter that it wants me to type. Okay, then. And then XCVM dot ZXVMM ZXCV comma Z. So there are all sorts of things that you can do here. Now, let's just go back and let me give you clear tips on actually what you need to do. So when I said progressive, I said what it actually means is you try and master one at a time. Master one set of letters at a time. Okay, that's really key. Try and do 15 minutes. I would say 15 minutes, completely undistracted. Completely undistracted. You need to be very quiet. If you need to put on headphones, with either noise cancelling headphones or headphones that are playing rain sounds, you need to be completely undistracted and 100% focused on this task. The next tip under this progressive is do not look at the keyboard. Do not look at the keyboard. The aim of touch typing is to learn the position of the letters so that you can just reflexively type on get the right letter at the right time. And then the next tip I would say under progressive is don't be in a rush. There's no need to rush. Just dwell on each set of letters until you've mastered them. And when I say master here, it means you can go through the exercise with zero errors. Okay, so that's tip number two. Tip number one was get a Dell keyboard. They cost around 400 to 700 shillings. If you're good at negotiating, you can get them for 400. If you're rubbish at negotiating, you'll probably be charged 700. You could even be charged 1,000 shillings. The next tip I've said is go progressively, and I've said you go to Ed Club. So it's just called Typing Club. If you just Google Typing Club, Typing Club is where you want to go. So just Google that, and it will take you to Ed Club. Now, tip number three is um, measure your typing and record it on a daily basis. So make sure you measure your typing and record it on a daily basis. Now I'm going to show you, there's a great website for that called 10 Fast Fingers. And on 10 Fast Fingers, they keep it very simple. They have a little box here where you're supposed to type the word, and there is a counter. And on this counter here at the bottom, so the moment you start typing, then this starts decrementing. So it'll go up to zero. And essentially, they will count the number of words that you type correctly without without making errors. It'll also give you an indication of the error. So let's just look at that. I'm going to go back into typing mode here, and let's just get myself. So could, home, what, same. The words are rubbish. Some, run, water, we, those, group, day, never, for, above. And you have to try and read ahead. Answer, now, now, land, or, time, thing, letter, who, but, state, number, left, we, use, my, learn, second, day, off, call. Now I'm reading them here, but I shouldn't really be reading. I should be paying attention. So you do this, you take these measures every day, okay? Take the best of three, for example. Earth, mountain, make, begin, many, white. And as you can see, I'm not looking at the keyboard, I'm looking at the screen. Small, yeah, I'm gonna get a rubbish score here. Think, find once, high to next, know, with, earth, around, way. So let's see, that's my score. This is my score when I'm typing by, this is a live score, but I can do much better than that. Typically, I go up to 80 or 90 words per minute. And I'm doing this on an Apple keyboard, which is usually a bad experience. But this is a great tool. Take three scores and record them. Now, let me show you what that looks like. So these are a couple of individuals who who are interning with me, and they did this every day for 4 months. They took a score every day, and in the end, they had really excellent scores. A number of things I want you to pay attention to here. Number one, that the progression is daily. Notice that between any 2 days, there's just about a 1 word per minute improvement if you do things right. Unfortunately, eventually they got to a point where they plateaued, but if they kept going, they would have hit very high scores. And you notice, well, one of these individuals actually hit 50 words per minute, touch typing, 50 words per minute within this 4 month period. So when I tell you that it is possible, it's not theory. I have the data to back it, and I have the proof that you can actually improve. Another thing that I want you to notice from this graph is that if you just practice, if you go to the 10 fast fingers and you just practice every day, you stay exactly where you are. Notice this individual doesn't really make any progress over, this was probably what, 2 or 3 weeks. And then we had to have a conversation and say, hey, look, you need to have the courage to go back to the basics and develop your typing fundamental skills. And so he listened. And at that point, that's when he began to improve. But notice the price that he paid. He ended up with a gap all the way till the end because of that wasted time. So that wasted time here, that T translated to some delta W here in his performance. The sooner you do things right, the sooner you begin to see an improvement in your typing. So that's the second thing. You need to be consistent. You need to take measures because then that encourages you. As you see your improvement going 1 word per minute per day, that then gives you the courage and the motisha to keep going. So that was tip number 2. Let's just go back here. So tip number 3 here was I mentioned that website, 10 fast fingers, 10 fast fingers. And here the tip is measure, measure. In fact, there is a saying that it's hard to manage what you don't measure. There's a proper quote, but measurement, and do this daily. So this 10fastfingers.com is where you take your measurement daily. Now, the last tip is something that I figured out only recently because when you're doing typing on a mechanical keyboard, I'm sorry, like a typewriter, proper typewriter, there is a very loud, audible experience associated with it. And because the keys are quite heavy, you have to put in a lot of effort to actually get the keys to move. So one thing that I realized, in fact, when I was typing, there was this rhythmic sound that helped me. Like as I was typing, I would just set a rhythmic sound, and so it hit me. The other area in life where we have rhythmic sounds that guide the progression of an activity is music. And if you know anything about music, musicians tend to use something called a metronome. So I don't know if you've ever heard of a metronome, but a metronome, let me just set, I want to make sure that you can hear my audio. So I'm going to make sure my audio comes through, okay? So this is a metronome available on the Google website. If you just search for metronome, it's going to give you a metronome. Now, I don't, if you've never worked with a metronome is a tool that musicians use that give a steady beat. Now, in this case, our beat is 100 beats per minute. So if we play this, you can hear that's the pace at 100 beats per minute. Now, why would you need to use a metronome? Well, a metronome is a way that you can actually get a measure of how fast you're typing, or at least it will guide you to have a pattern of how fast you're typing. So let's come back here to Ed Club and we go back to the lessons. Now you remember we had all these lessons here, and these lessons start all the way from the beginning, from the home row. Now, the thing.
So, I hear you want to type like a pro.
Yeah, we don't want to hear that. So we've come back here, and you remember in this part here, I had the F and J, and then it gave me now these exercises. So at what pace, how will I know my progress here? And that's how the metronome helps. So what you do, you set the metronome to go at a certain beat. So let's set it now. Let's just use this 100 beats per minute. And we come back to F club, and I'm going to try and now follow at that beat. So now I've been successful. Let's just stop this. So I've been successful at typing those letters without error at 100 beats per minute. So how do I challenge myself? Well, I can raise the pace of the metronome. If I have a lot of errors at 100 beats per minute, then I can take that down, maybe down to 80 beats per minute. And you'll hear that is so noticeably slower. And then I go back to Ed Club, and again, I try. If I keep getting errors, then I take that down a notch again. I maybe take it down to, let's say, 75 or 70 beats per minute. And this will be a way that you can repeat the same exercise to try and get improvements in your pace in a measurable way. So once you are doing it, let's say at 100 beats per minute, then you say, okay, then I'm good enough at 100 beats per minute for F and J. I'm now going to move to the next set of exercises. So once you're done with this, you now move to lesson 2. And again, you do the same thing. You'll notice over time that your pace will sort of eventually you will no longer need to go to a very slow pace unless you go down to some of the more complicated letters like the Z and the X and the C. Those are really hard letters to master. Or if you now start including the numbers, it's a bit tedious to try and get these numbers right. It's, for example, 6 and 7 and 5. Those are quite hard to distinguish, and you have to learn what the angle is that you need to get your finger to. But a metronome is a wonderful tool that you can use to pace yourself, metronome, and you can get one for free from Google. So if you just go to Google and search metronome, then you get that metronome and then start off with a slow speed. Let's say start at 100. If that doesn't work, then move to, let's say, 80. If that doesn't work, then move to 70. And then now start building from there. 80, then 90, and then you get to 100. If you get to 100, you can then challenge yourself. Can you go faster? And that will help you. Just like with musicians, when they're training, they start off with a slow tempo and they build the tempo until they're confident and able to pace through. So those are the 4 steps to mastering typing or improving your typing. Number 1, get a keyboard, and I said get a Dell keyboard. Number 2, be progressive and use a tool like Typing Club. Number 3, measure by going to a website like 10 Fast Fingers. And number 4, use a metronome. There's one for free on Google. This should not cost you more than 700 shillings. 700 shillings, and you are on your way to better typing.